Welcome everyone. This is A Women in Bloom and welcome to our podcast. Today we will be discussing our community and what it means to bloom in the community, and it will link back to our core, which is supporting women 45 plus to age courageously.
Yeah.
I am Alexis, this is Annie.
Hi.
And this is Caroline.
Hello.
Hi.
So Annie, what does it mean to you to bloom?
To bloom. Well, when I thought of the name, or was trying to come up with a name for the women's events I was wanting to do, the idea of opening up, of blossoming into our full, glorious, amazing selves came to mind. That's why I was thinking Women in Bloom. So to me, it's about, instead of going through life feeling small or hiding away or retreating back or not getting involved, it's about being open to experiences, showing up as who we really are, being honest with ourselves, taking responsibility for ourselves, and daring to be who we are,
Yeah.
being authentic. Yeah.
So the concept of blooming and to bloom is that. So
Yeah.
around being this amazing flower that is different in a field of so many flowers.
Absolutely, and that's the other thing. Every flower is different. There may be all daisies, but they'll all be slightly different.
We're so
daisies.
unique.
And the thing is also, when we get to our mature years, I know some people don't like the word mature years, but 45 so plus,
Yes.
we've gone through our youth, so we're not a bud anymore. We've gone through our growing years, but we continue to grow. But then we really start to come into our own, I think, when we've built our courage, or some of us have, to a level, and we've achieved things. We've had families. We've done all sorts of things.
And to continue
and
blooming.
to continue
Yeah.
doing that, rather than think you get to a certain
And you're
age
done.
where you start to just withdraw from life. It's actually an opportunity to step up and really be more true to yourself, do more of what you need and want.
A little bit of showcasing, as in like being open. So the concept for blooming for you and Women in Bloom is about being authentic, but to show yourself and not to be afraid to do so. Yes.
Yeah, so that's what the idea, the aging courageously,
Is exactly.
is so... When you see someone who's so brave, or they express themselves and they're out there and they're showing up or doing it quietly, however is right for them, it's beautiful. That's when people are really look the most attractive, I think. Yeah.
That's interesting, because I know, getting in, like coming into our own, if you will, like we've got all this experience behind us. We're in our full bloom and we are at the next stage of our lives, and yet in some cases we've never been more invisible. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if that's if that's happened to you yet. I don't remember it happening to me in my 40s, but recently a couple of times, if I'm not within my own group, if I'm not within my own network, if I'm somewhere else, people gravitate towards younger people, or just we tend to be overlooked, and I've noticed that, and it doesn't hurt me. It was just something I observed, and I think if I was someone who spent my life caring just about this, I would be devastated and I wouldn't know what to do. But it's interesting that we can feel so empowered, but also
But that's I think that's a big part of it, is the way society views us. We're not seen as the elders or the wise women, which one day hopefully we will be, and we are in some cultures.
Some cultures do actually look at that the aging process and getting to your sage shapes, years of wisdom, and you're seen as an elder, right? And so it's a positive sort of, I guess, progression for those type of cultures. And not to say that Western culture doesn't have elements of that, but we do, for our media and what we see, there is a lot of push for maintaining some sort of youth,
anti-aging.
or anti-aging versus
pro-aging.
yes.
Do you know, that really grinds my, sorry to butt in, but
no.
what really grinds my gears is seeing these 20-year-olds advertise anti-aging creams. I'm like,
Oh, yes,
you're
it's
kidding, you're
ridiculous.
20.
Yeah.
You don't need it.
No, but it's true. But also the other reason we need these wise women to be valued and to listen to them and take advantage of their wisdom is so that younger women don't fear getting older.
That's exactly
they can embrace
right.
it. They can
so
actually see.
lead the way for what that truly means. And it's not, well, it's not that you can't still maintain your youth or, you know, your vibrancy or
You could be young at heart. Yes.
vivaciousness, I like to say. But it's also about celebrating the next milestones instead of dreading it. I think there is a lot of women who dread what it means to be in their even 40s, like 50s and 60s. And they kind of talk about 30 being the new 20 and 40 being... Why does it have to be that way? Should we not celebrate all the years that we've had experiences and things?
Have you ever looked back at old photos of yourself maybe 10 years ago and thought, I didn't look so bad after all. I thought I was...
At the time.
Because we judge ourselves so harshly now.
That's
I mean,
so
in
true.
10 years' time, I will look back at photos and think, she wasn't bad for 67. Not bad at all. We don't appreciate what we've got, who we are, where we're at, and enjoy the now.
Exactly. So the Women in Bloom community is about celebrating that.
Yeah.
It's about hanging on to the fact that we are all different and we're different at different ages. And then it's okay to have the additional wrinkles and the additional scars as such, but in a way that they all have meaning behind them.
Yeah.
It's not just about, oh, you're getting older because you're getting older. It's you've had such wisdom and sagedom as the process, and then that's what we want to celebrate for our community, and we want our community to be involved with us and celebrate the stories. Because Annie, you would have stories around being aware. Like right now, you're in the thick of it. You know, Women in Bloom is a new organisation that we're all coming on board. We're putting 100% into growing this amazing community, and age-wise,
I'm a slow learner. No, I'm not. No, I'm still coming into my own at 67. Do I wish I'd done this years ago? Yes, but I also trust that it's happening now, so it's right.
yes,
But I also wanted to say I feel more comfortable in my own skin than I've ever done. But at the same time, I'm still learning to get out of my own way. I'm still digging up old limiting beliefs that have kind of kept me, holding me back or made me doubt myself. I'm still getting rid of that stuff, which is, by doing so, I feel I'm liberating myself. So I feel like I'm more ready to show up, to blossom, to be me, and that's all. I don't see that personal growth stuff as scary or it's exciting. It's a fabulous journey, and it's an adventure. So and that's
this
what
is how
Women in
we
Bloom.
yes that this is how Women in Bloom and the community that we're establishing and growing is about. We would like you to feel that regardless of what stage you are in the 45 plus range, that you have support and you don't have to have all the answers, but you will have a wealth of knowledge that you can contribute to those who would be able to learn and gain knowledge from your experiences.
Well, that's the thing, that I think we all bring something to the table, and we can all use our own experiences to help other women and also younger women as well. For me, blooming is... it's a double-edged sword, aging, for me. I'm not going to say blooming is a double-edged sword because that is just beautiful in and of itself. But aging is a double-edged sword for me. The older I get, the more I get to really just look back at my life and just think, yeah, you know, I've really had some big goals and big wins, and I've achieved a lot, and I've lived overseas, and I've done this and I've done that, and I love that. And then I'll get out of bed one morning and go, hurts to walk.
But that's after a big hike or something like that.
No, it's actually a medical thing that's going on with me right now. So there's things that happen that you just have to take in your stride. No pun intended in my case, but that's where I look for the support. That's where I look for my community to help me through whatever that might be.
Yeah.
It could be the loss of a husband. It could be the loss of the vibrant physicality that I used to have. You know, I used to play soccer. I was midfield, running up and down and into it. And I'm not going to do that anymore. But there are other things I can do, like embrace my little grandbaby. And so it's about finding joy in the things at that moment. It's being in the now and celebrating the fact that I could play midfield soccer, because not everyone can, you know. So I got to do it. It's no longer a thing, potentially. So I have to just move on.
You also see now there is a lot of people in that 45 plus or even 50, 60 plus who are finding their fitness again.
Yes.
They're actually rebuilding their bodies better than they were in their 20s and 30s.
That was true for me in my 40s, because I used to be a heavy smoker, really unfit, junk food, soft drink, all of that. And then I quit smoking when I turned 40. That was a milestone thing for me.
Yes.
I joined a choir and I started playing sport, and I was peak fitness then.
Yes.
No, thankfully there is a growing amount of support to encourage people to look after their wellness and take responsibility for themselves, which I just want to add to the discussion about feeling invisible. I think a lot of women feel invisible because they rely on their external world to make them feel seen or validated or of worth by being treated in certain ways or being accepted or being acknowledged. But it's up to us to actually validate ourselves, to actually acknowledge our strength, our experiences, our wisdom, and actually work on us to feel happiness within ourselves. Because that's when I think we find the courage, we find that's when the magic happens, where we do start to blossom from within. It's like the most weird and wonderful looking person can look beautiful when they're just beaming with joy and happiness.
Yes.
So it's got nothing to do with you being the balance of your facial features or having the most amazing hair. It's what comes from within.
A lot of it is about a story you tell yourself as well. Like we sort of discussed it on one of our meetings, where we sort of said, like, when you think that you walk into a room and you have this preconceived notion that you should be a certain way or you've got to present a certain way, and when you're not actually feeling that you are, you feel less than. And so that then becomes the story, like a post-it note. So not to say that there is a reoccurring or an undercurrent of the fact that aging is perceived as, or the anti-aging movement is not there. That's not what I'm saying. It's also for us to change individually. It needs to come from within. So stop telling yourself the story that you're not quite. Because I've spoken to a number of women at different ages, and they basically will say, well, I don't look as great as I did in my 20s, or people don't see me as they did when I was a lot younger. But I look at them and I think, wow, you're amazing. I don't know what you did look like in your 20s, but right now you're exuding this amazingness. And I felt that way about meeting you the first time. And same with Caroline. I went, these ladies are joyful and they're vivacious and they're, and we've got gaps between our age brackets. And for me, it was also that the awareness that you can gracefully move into these next iterations of your life and celebrate.
Yes.
And celebrate your wins, because those additional, whether you enjoy cosmetic procedures or not, all of them pretty much create you as the individual. So if it actually personifies for you, it actually serves you, then do it.
Yeah.
But it's the negativity or the creating the stories that don't serve you. That's what we're the community, as in Women in Bloom, are bringing to the surface and helping our community understand. And there are women out there. I sent the ladies a video this morning around fashion and what it
that
truly
was
means.
so good. Did you see it?
Yes.
And we will share it. You'll have it. It'll be on our website and on our socials. And it was these amazing women wearing whatever colour they wanted to.
All octogenarians plus, I would hazard a guess.
Yeah, and they just went, life is too short, and I will wear what I like, however colour coordination I feel, and it doesn't matter if my colour palette does not work on this, but it made me feel good. So,
And you know what I also loved about that? They approached it differently. So even though they're all in their 80s, one, plan the night before. I need to know, but how do you know if it's going to rain or not? But and the other one was like, I wake up and I have a look and that's what I feel.
And I just put on more layers if it's cold. Yeah.
I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah.
So when you, Annie, talked about being authentic to you, that's what it means. When you show up, you are feeling and expressing the best of you.
Yeah, it's not for anyone else's benefit. Yeah. It's for mine. It's because it feels better. It feels better to be me, and I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to be reliant on, and I have over time reliant on other people loving me or respecting me to feel okay in myself.
Yes.
It's got to come from you internally. But as a community, we also encourage, when you're within the Women in Bloom community, it's about kindness. It's about celebrating others. We don't need to tear each other down or other people down to
We're
build
not
ourselves up.
snipping the stems on anyone.
Yeah, so this is where the concept of blooming just gets reiterated. It's about celebrating the individuality.
You know, the other part of it, sorry, two things. I get excited on this topic. It's one about helping women embrace their femininity.
Yes.
It's not being in the masculine energy. Nothing wrong with masculine energy, but it's helping women embrace being women, to love being a woman and all the qualities and the strengths that has. And I really believe that if more women owned their feminine energy and lived and stepped into their feminine energy, it would shift the energy of the planet more and more. I mean, and the world needs more feminine energy. Masculine energy has been slowly but surely and continues to blow it apart. But
I think as a community, or even as a greater community, to understand what feminine energy means and masculine energy, maybe that's another podcast that we can do, and we will delve into that. And there's plenty of experts out there, but 100% correct. We, as a Women in Bloom community, want to celebrate the femininity, and it's okay to be soft. We've gone through the 80s and 90s of, super girl power. Not to say that it didn't have a place, and it did, and it actually supported growth for a lot of women out there. But maybe we can take a little bit of a step back and a breath to say, you don't have to be powering on. You don't have to take on male-dominated roles, or you don't have, if that's what you do, that's great.
Or take them on, but be a woman not a man.
And not have to take on that persona.
Yes.
I've wondered, and you might have wondered the same thing. Why is it that we are so hard on ourselves, and then we're hard on other women as well? Why did we do that? Why does that happen? Why?
I think it depends on the way that you have, the stories you've told yourself, your history, how you've been raised. Yeah. There is a lot of, I think, what you don't know is what you don't know. So let's say a parent raising a child will compare unintentionally, will say, have a look at her, look at what she's doing, look at, and then you take that on as a
I'm not good
young
enough.
person.
Yeah.
Yes. And then you hold on to it, and you, like I mentioned, poster notes at our last podcast, so go and have a look at that if you're interested, were basically about releasing them. So these are the stories you've accumulated over your life, and to answer that question is, we do let these stories stick, and then we say, because not everyone's like that. I meet women who have the ability to celebrate everyone, to be able to look at you and go, you know what, you've got beautiful eyes, and your height is amazing. Like you,
thanks,
beautiful.
I did it all myself.
Woman, and the curly hair, and those who don't have curly hair will then go, it's just what we do.
Yeah,
innately.
And the thing is, yes, because a lot of those stories we create in our mind's eye when we're very young as a way to navigate or work out our place in the world.
Yes.
They're unconscious. They're deep in our psyche, and so unless we actually question those stories, say, wait a minute, is that
Does it
true?
serve me?
Aren't I as good as them?
And that's my little 5-year-old voice deciding how I look at myself throughout my life.
Yeah.
And that little 5-year-old voice was wrong. You know, that's something that we have to think about, take responsibility.
And it certainly helps when you've got friends or community members cheering you on, saying, you've got this, go for it.
You can do it.
And when we talked about why Women in Bloom came about and why I really resonated with the event, it was all about supporting. It was all about celebrating. And it's okay that you've come from this background, or it's okay that you've had this scar, or whatever it is, because all those things make you who you are now. And it's worth celebrating.
Absolutely.
It's about bringing the community together to support that.
Yeah.
So where we go from here is Women in Bloom and the community is about celebrating all of this in the most kind, loving, respectful, and creative way that nurtures you and your soul, right? So that's what we're doing. So is there any particular stories, Caroline, that you have where you felt that you've bloomed in a way and you've come the other side and went, you know what, I gained, I bloomed and blossomed as a result of that event?
Probably, I'd probably have to think about that because I'm just so in the moment in my life. I don't really do much reflection. But I would hazard a guess that when I got my children back, and to a certain degree, when we all live together, and that's in the other podcast too, if you want to have a listen to that. My children worked with me for a little bit for my work, and when they came back to live with me, I found my power through that and realized what a journey I had been on, and felt very much stronger for having my children back with me and how that all came about and how I nurtured them after that. So that was a defining moment for me in terms of just stepping into a power that I never even knew existed.
I had one that I just came to mind. It made me think of it, and it wasn't so long ago where I suddenly realized, I thought of it when you mentioned the 5-year-old, I suddenly realized, oh my God, I've let my 5-year-old run the show for me for so many years in so many areas of my life. And it's like, what?
The epiphany came.
The epiphany came, and then I realized, well, I think I need to step into the adult version of me that I am. And things started shifting in different ways, and I felt more empowered, more comfortable, more stronger.
Yeah.
I felt more courageous because I realized I've got the courage. I don't need to be this. Yeah. Anyway,
when we come into the awareness like that, or the epiphanies, it's a lot around reflection. So when you're allowed to share your story, or even when you're like hearing your own story, you then make these evaluations and you start to realize, yes, I've bloomed. Like those things don't affect me anymore.
Yes.
So Annie, you had an epiphany with your 5-year-old self. So tell us.
Well, hopefully it's with my adult self.
Yes.
It's about my 5-year-old.
About your 5-year-old self.
Yes.
So run through that. And
well, it's just made me realize, I think when there's emotional issues going on, I tend to switch back into some childhood trauma stuff. And I was totally unaware it was even happening. That I was talking to a coach, and he didn't even point this out, but afterwards, because I was kind of looking into my own story, my own, how I am, I'm not sure what the word is, but it was afterwards I suddenly thought, oh my God, I don't.
the awareness happened.
I'm on an emotional level, there's some wounding there. I just need to acknowledge it, but also step up as the adult and get on with my life from her.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff. And I think, like I said before, I I am very much in the now, and I'm thinking about what I'm doing now and what's going to happen in the future. The reflection side of things is not one of my strongest points, but I also have a coach that I talk to every now and again. I went through a really bad period last year where I was on calls with her once a week for at least an hour, just getting through stuff while she helped me unpack a lot of stuff. That's when I reflect, is when, and I need to learn not to let it get to a critical point for then me to reflect and go, okay, things are broken now, I'm going to sort it out. I need to do that before I get to that point.
A lot of us do that.
But we're women because we're running houses, we're looking after kids, we're working, we're so busy, our heads are so full. We don't get to sit at home and work all day or go to work all day and then wonder what and let someone else wonder what's going to happen for dinner.
But it's also, a lot of women aren't comfortable asking for help.
That's a big thing that why I sort of brought it up, that we find it as women hard to ask for support. It must be an innate thing for us that we just soldier on and power through. And when you don't know where to go to get support, that's also a big thing, where you just feel like you're in your own and you're by yourself.
Or there's something wrong with you, or you should be able to do better than this.
It's the self-talk. And then so with what we're doing here, and we talk about love you, love life, we then, it's not just at the end and we do our cheers and we're like, yes, celebrate, but it's actually very meaningful. Love you is about nurturing you, is about blooming, is about what Women in Bloom is about. And then once you can love you, you can really love life. So the phrase is, so when Annie brought that up as something that we would end our podcasts with, it resonated with all of us.
It was a no-brainer. It was the most perfect thing. Yeah.
And so one day it'll be on a shirt, and you will be actually able to purchase it on our website.
womeninbloom.com.au.
But that's exactly right. So nurturing ourselves, loving you first, and then being able to resonate. And so we talk about vibration. And if you vibrate this, you then bring in such amazingness into your life and the opportunities, and I guess the cloud tends to dissipate and then it becomes a little bit more brighter, a little bit more clear. And that, as little as that is, for even the smallest things, like if you're a mum and your kids have left home and you're like, what do I do? I've spent the last however many years looking after them, cleaning their house for them, doing everything for them, and now I've got all this time on my hands. What am I going to do with myself? Maybe Women in Bloom is your community. Maybe this is who you need to connect with.
To go on an adventure and explore and to
And it's okay if you don't know. And it's okay to have 1,000 post-it notes, because that's where we all start off with.
When you said go out and explore, I just thought of a Women in Bloom cruise. Wouldn't that be fun?
It would be amazing. That will come in the next iteration of
we have to do some of that stuff too.
Well, our events are something that we would actually, whether it's one-to-one events, like in-person events, or online events, there is always a way to connect with us individually and our community. So the objective is connect. Come on, subscribe, join the community.
If you haven't done the survey,
do the survey. Become a member. We have different membership levels. So you'll see that on the website as to what each membership level brings. But even if you don't have the finances to become a member, there's still plenty of information and support for you. Absolutely. We're inclusive.
I think that's about it for our...
So I think that just about wraps everything up, doesn't it? I think it's time for a word from our friendly sponsor.
Yes, so that takes me to My Time Accounting, who sponsored this podcast. They take on bookkeeping, payroll, BAS and reporting to ensure you can focus on what you do best, your business. So they are a certified Xero Gold partner, and they specialize in all areas of bookkeeping, payroll, and above all, their objective is to support the client to achieve success in business and in work-life balance. So go to their website and have a look, mytimeaccounting.com.au, and we will hope to see you at the next podcast.
Yeah. And remember, ladies, love
you, love life.